Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special, additional, extra breakfast all day, extra helpings, if you will. Matt, Christy, Alonso. We did not have time on Friday to get to marquees, and of course, since Friday, there's been other news. So what the heck? We're back with more.
There's just always something, and I look forward to the day that there's not.
That'll be the day after you're dead.
As of this recording, we are fewer than 48 hours away from the inauguration, from a new president. Trump is planning to leave on Wednesday, but he plans to already be at Mar-a-Lago by 11 a.m. so that he can take Air Force One. He can have all the last round of pomp and splendor.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to have a whole going away thing on the lawn as he boards Marine One, and then a whole other thing at Joint Air Force Base Andrews to fly Air Force One last time and have the motorcade and all the trappings, and then they will take him back to Mar-a-Lago.
We have to have 2 nuclear footballs, apparently, on Wednesday so that he can have one until the last possible moment, and then Biden can have his.
You know, as we learned in the Harrison Ford movie, any plane that the president is on is technically Air Force One, so they should just put him in an old Cessna, which are fine planes. Like when I was a little kid, I loved those planes. But let's just fly him out in an old Cessna and be like, yeah, man, this is Air Force One.
It's like Trump and a sheet of tinfoil and the air. And that's all there is. Flying over the Tahitian Islands. So things that would ordinarily happen right around now are not happening and will not happen because there's just no sense of tradition or courtesy or basic human decency involved with this administration. So like the customary letter that the outgoing president leaves in the Resolute desk for the new president, like that's not happening. Melania.
Well, they took all his crayons away anyway.
Melania, no sharp pencils are allowed. The whole sharpener has been taken out. Melania, in theory, should have Jill Biden over for the customary tea. Not that Jill Biden needs an introduction to the White House. She knows her way around. But these are like the basic decencies.
Niceties, yeah.
Yes. And like Michael Beschloss, presidential historian Michael Beschloss is so good about finding like just the right photo to contrast where we are now from how things have been previously. So he posted a really lovely picture of Jenna Bush, the Bush's daughter, on the balcony with young Melania, young Malia and Sasha Obama, and the Washington monuments in the distance, and it's like a really sweet moment, and like that's not going to happen this time.
No, apparently even like Pence had to reach out to Biden's to set them up being at Blair House for the night before the inauguration, which is again a traditionally thing that the president does, but not when the president is this petty baby.
Yes, apparently though he is pardoning like 100 people. So at some point between when we record this and when Wednesday happens, like a lot of shit's going to happen.
At $2 million a pop, according to the New York Times. Like if you want to get in the conversation, you got to like grease some wheels.
I read that, and that's very on brand.
Yes, you can't say he's not consistent.
He is. So,
yeah. And the other thing, and I don't know how much you've got, this may be jumping ahead in your news stories, but they've been talking about how so many roads are closed and, Capitol Hill is covered with National Guard and they've closed all the bridges going into there, which is now a problem for people who live in that neighborhood who are going to have trouble getting groceries for the next few days because no one could get in or out. And
it's like living down the block from the Oscars, I'm sure.
But worse.
But with barbed wire and guns.
Yeah, there are more troops, I think, surrounding the Capitol right now than there are in Iraq and Afghanistan. So anyway.
I don't know why. I would think just for the pandemic, that would be reason enough to let's just have this in a room somewhere and televise it and not have to do the whole but the terrorists win, I guess.
I was going to say, that's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, Reagan had his second inauguration indoors after the assassination attempt on him. it can be done. It has been done very recently. That seems like the smart thing to do. I think this is a foolish decision, but hey, it's going to happen. Also, one thing that's a bit of breaking news that occurred right after we wrapped, and this happens every single week. Something interesting happens that we didn't get to.
We wash the car.
This piece of information is the MyPillow guy came to the White House with a typed up multi-page memo about martial law and installing different people at the top of the CIA. And supposedly he was just the messenger, was carrying it on behalf of some lawyer. But like the fucking MyPillow guy gets an audience. You know, the president can't be bothered to go to COVID briefings, but the MyPillow guy gets key prime time on the final Friday.
Can we just be done with this, President? Please, please.
I mean,
move on?
I have to imagine, you know, they've talked about, I've heard a couple people say that, or stories about some of the higher ups saying, let's not give Trump security briefings anymore. It doesn't matter. And I have to imagine Biden coming in and starting to get these briefings about things that are going on, you know, oh, there's this situation in this country with these people. And Biden says, all right, so what have we been doing about that so far? And the answer over and over is going to be nothing.
Nothing.
And like by the fourth time, you just got to figure he's going to be like,
Nothing.
Man. Like,
but also, I'm sure from a lot of those other countries, they're like, oh, we can talk to an adult now. Great. Let's, you know, Biden is probably already having conversations with, you know, a lot of world leaders who are like, finally, can we now talk about this stuff?
right. Oh,
you
good.
know?
There's an adult back in the room.
Yeah. I mean, like the amount, like any incoming administration has an agenda and has things that need to be fixed and things that need to be worked out. But like, there is just so much repair that is going to have to go on in addition to their agenda, in addition to hopefully putting Donald Trump on trial in the Senate. But like, I want a lot of sleepless nights coming up for the incoming Democrats because they have a lot of work to do.
Some other stuff. QAnon Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was temporarily silenced on Twitter. Her account was put on hold for 12 hours, and then she came back just storming with this long ranting tweet thread about censorship. Lauren Boebert, the new freshman congresswoman who owns the gun-themed restaurant in Colorado, in Rifle, Colorado, apparently gave a big tour to a whole bunch of people the day before the insurrection.
Yes, she did.
What's that about?
I like the one where somebody, I think it was somebody on some news story or somebody had printed up a story that basically said there's evidence that some Congress people had given tours, and Boebert lit into this writer saying that is slanderous and libelous and I'm going to go after you. And the person writes back like, your name's not in here.
But this inspired a whole bunch of various senators and members of Congress to start this whole tweet thread of like, okay, I'll go first. I didn't give any tours at Congress yesterday.
Yes.
And the next person carried it on. So that was kind of funny. There is some good news, though, related to the inauguration, that Josh Groban did some whole separate inauguration performance for Major, the Biden's German Shepherd, who will be the first rescue dog ever to live in the White House.
Oh,
yes, it was very sweet. He actually, on Instagram, he approached them and said, like, I really want to do something special for the dog, and it's a fundraiser for for rescue animals. So
I mean, we all knew that was a bad sign right at the beginning of the Trump presidency, right? Like,
no pets.
There's not going to be a dog. Like,
I mean, and then when he was asked about it, remember he said, can you imagine me walking a dog on the lawn of the White House? It's like, no. Now that you mention it,
kicking it, right. We can imagine you kicking a dog.
Yeah, I can imagine a dog snarling whenever you walk into a room, but
Barron might have enjoyed a dog, right? Barron might have liked to have a little friend around the house. That's all I'm saying.
Friend.
Now it's too late. Also, Alonso, here's a bit of news that made me think of you when I saw it. Apparently,
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
The New Radicals are reuniting to perform at the inauguration because they're like, Doug Imhoff's favorite band, Kamala Harris's husband, second gentleman to be, Doug Imhoff, gets his own song to walk into, and he's chosen You Get What You Give by New Radicals. And so they're going to come back together for him.
I love that. I mean, I don't really think of New Radicals as a them. It's basically Greg Alexander. Like, he was the guy and he just didn't want to be that guy anymore. And, you know, he's remained busy. He wrote all the songs for Begin Again.
Mm-hmm.
Got an Oscar nomination. Got an Oscar nomination for one of those songs. But yeah, no, I'm pumped. That was one of my favorite '90s band. That album, Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too, is great. So, look, if I got to pick a band to get back together for my vice presidential husband inauguration, I'd probably go with Jellyfish. But New Radicals is a good choice too.
I would like the Pixies, but I would like Kim Deal to be the bass player. I know that the Pixies exist in some form, but like,
yes, you don't want the State Fair Pixies.
The original 4 of them. That's who I would pick. Matt, who is your band? Who would you pick?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, 80s and 90s me would have said Oingo Boingo. No question. Actually, I probably still would say Oingo Boingo.
Yeah. They exist at all in any form? They must. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, part of the big issue is that Elfman has said that his hearing's going, so they don't perform anymore, and he's too busy composing. So he can't really do performances anymore. Those guys, I mean, one of them was writing music for the Simpsons for a long time, and
Steve Bartek, I know, still composes for film and TV.
Yeah, he still does, and a couple of them had a side project for a while. But yeah, I would love to. That would be either Out of the Police.
Oh, there you go. Other pieces of news for you. Speaking of awful members of Congress and senators, Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri, who was like the main guy contesting the election result. He was the one pictured with his fist up in the air, saluting all the insurrectionists dressed in his Trump uniform. So he was going to have some fundraiser event at the Lowe's Hotel in Orlando.
Yes.
And it was supposed to have been a couple of weeks from now. And there was this massive backlash against Lowe's hotels and big Twitter campaigns saying, like, do you really want to support this guy? And to their credit, they've canceled it. And they put out a statement saying, like, we do not agree with any of this. Right. We oppose violence. So the system works.
Well, and of course, like now Republicans are bitching about cancel culture. Right. And it's like, y'all, for years, you were about the invisible hand of the market and letting the market decide, and businesses should have a say and shouldn't be forced.
Wait, we didn't mean decide against us.
They don't want to do, but yeah, exactly. It's the same way that, the goons who tried to do the coup were all Blue Lives Matter until a cop dared stand in their way. And then they beat him with a Blue Lives Matter flag in a moment of irony that nobody would dare write.
Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas have broken up.
Oh,
they were together for a year. They fell in love while making Deep Water, the Patricia Highsmith novel that is being adapted.
Oh yeah,
directed by.
Yet, right?
It has not. It comes out this summer. So the thing is that they fell in love like there was a great chemistry while they were shooting, and then they got together romantically afterward. Had been together for the past year. They broke up. It was an amicable split, says People Magazine. But then they still have to work together to like promote the movie. Anyway, it's Adrian Lyne directed this, you guys.
Ooh.
So that could be steamy.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think Ana de Armas has great chemistry with anybody. I think that's part of what makes her who she is. So I don't know that that's Affleck.
Well, we know that it wasn't for lack of Duncan. Remember that? Did you see that photo a few weeks back? All the paps
took a picture.
He's balancing all the donut holes in the box and the iced coffees and the.
He's from Boston. He should be able to balance all of that stuff with no problem. He's a big guy with giant hands.
It'd be kind of shitty to you can't even go out your front door to pick up stuff. That kind of sucks.
It does.
It does, but
Chris and I just watched the Tiger Woods documentary, which is really good, by the way. I'm sure you guys aren't interested in it at all, but it's this 2-part documentary. Maybe we can get to it at some point. It's on HBO about how he just totally never got used to the fact that the paparazzi followed him everywhere all the time. Like he never got used to it, and he was still uncomfortable with it, and that's part of why he had this whole secret life with multiple women.
Well, I mean, it's so unnatural. The closest I've ever gotten to it, I went to I was having dinner with a friend of mine years ago who was a publicist, and he was like, "Oh, we have to make one stop real quick." And it turned out there was some screening that was happening at the Writers Guild Theater, and his client at the time was Diane Lane, and he was walking with her to her car and telling her about XYZ whatever. And there was this, just as we were walking forward, this phalanx of like flash, 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 people walking backwards, like getting her walking down the street with her publicist. And I'm like, no wonder these people wear sunglasses all the time, because I could barely, I thought I was going to like walk into the street. It was blinding.
And that's for Diane Lane, who is amazing, but has been around for a while. This is like peak tiger. Peak tiger could not go anywhere. Craziness. Anyway, it's really good. I learned a lot.
Okay.
Phil Spector died.
Good.
Yes.
He died. What did ignominious end? He died at age 81 in a prison in Stockton.
Yeah, of COVID. And, yes, he was a reprehensible human being who was also responsible for some of the greatest music of the 1960s, but a murderer and a spousal abuser. And, that's all of that is part of his legacy. I think it's also worth asking the question, though, as much as like, screw that guy. What's going on in our prisons with COVID, and are they just letting people die without making any kind of effort to like keep them apart or, treat them once they get sick?
And then people who work in the prisons come home and they bring it home to their families and spread it through the communities. Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, fuck that guy, but still, I think it's a question that needs to be asked.
Here's my question for you, Alonso. And I've read a couple different obits for Phil Spector, which said he died of natural causes, but that he had COVID. Do we know that he died of COVID, or do we?
Oh, okay. The thing I had read one thing, and it said that he had died of COVID. Maybe they were extrapolating.
But anyway,
see, like I've seen
81, it's hard to like bounce back from.
Also, natural causes is a wide net, right?
Umbrella,
like as opposed to being shot. Like if you are really old and die, like you have a heart attack in your sleep, or like it's like, well, I guess that was nature. It's a natural cause.
Yeah, pneumonia becomes a natural cause.
Right. Like, yeah. As opposed to being hit by a truck.
Yes, which is unnatural. There's a guy who was just arrested for having hidden in O'Hare Airport for 3 months because he was afraid to fly because of COVID. So instead, he stole someone's badge who worked at the airport, and he just hid. It's like, what was it? Oh, The Terminal. That was that Steven Spielberg movie where Tom Hanks lives at the airport.
I was thinking of From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basilie Frankweiler, but The Terminal also. Yeah. That's so weird. I mean,
it's so weird.
I mean, there's worse places.
Chicago?
Listen, there's worse airports to be trapped in. That's not a bad airport.
It's giant. That DFW, you could live in DFW very easily.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I suppose that's part of how you get away with it, right? Is that it's big enough that you're not seeing the same people all the time.
Yeah, you're on the move.
Right? You're on the move.
So this guy was from Orange, California, actually.
Oh, wow.
And no one knows why he was in Chicago, what he was doing there, or why it is that he wouldn't go home. But he stole someone's badge and lived secretly in the airport for the last 3 months and was just arrested.
How many Cinnabons did he eat in that time?
Right. And finally somebody looked at the badge and be like, man, you don't look like a Jessica.
Yeah, that's not you.
How many Auntie Anne's pretzels did he have?
Oh my God, all of them. And then finally some good news. Betty White celebrated her 99th birthday over the weekend. Treasure. Protect her.
Indeed.
So,
and what's your go-to for Betty White? Because for me, it's Sue Ann Nivens. I know for a lot of people, it's Rose Hyland.
I mean, she's so adorable on Mary Tyler Moore's show, and her timing is so perfect, right? So I would say that.
I think that's one of those tests of like how old you are. Do you think of B. Arthur as Maud or Dorothy Zmordak?
Right.
She's adorable. Anyway, happy birthday to you, Betty White. You are a treasure.
Also, what was the alligator movie she's in?
Lake Placid.
Lake Placid. That's a treat. If you haven't seen, like, you want a different take, she starts speaking and sailors will run out of the room. You cannot believe that she is that foul-mouthed. It's awesome.
Yes, indeed. Always a joy. All right, Matt. So you have marquees. These are the marquees we did not have time to get to last week.
Yes, I do. It's been a couple weeks, so let me share my screen. Give me just a moment. All right, so our first picture, AgPitt sent us a bunch of pictures. This one, actually, Joe Cunningham posted himself on his last day as a member of Congress for South Carolina. He said, "Today is my last day as a member of Congress. Representing the Low Country has been the honor of my life. Until next time, thank you, Joe. # Low Country Over Party."
Is that North Carolina or South Carolina?
I thought it was South Carolina, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. I'll look it up.
I could be wrong.
Go ahead.
Next, this is from Spreckles Theater in downtown San Diego. The marquee says, "Thank you to all essential personnel. You are our heroes."
South Carolina.
South Carolina. All right, so this is the Paramount Theater in Austin. This marquee was up. A bunch of these are from the end of the year that we just are now getting to. This one says, "Can we count down faster by 2020?"
The Paramount is a central location during South by Southwest. I have, in fact, attended a cocktail party on the top of that marquee.
Ooh,
I have been
fancy.
to that building many, many times. Yes, it's a beautiful old theater.
I think I saw... What was the... I think I saw Atomic Blonde in that theater.
Probably. I saw Bridesmaids there.
Nice. All right. This is the Gladstone Theater in Ottawa. It says bye-bye 2020. We could not agree with that more. And then this is the Grand Lake in Oakland. Classic Grand Lake Theater marquee. Always has something clever to say or inspiring. This one says, "Yes, the election was fraudulent. Millions of citizens were denied the vote by Republican purges of voters." Like I said last week, we spent all this money to disenfranchise people and we still lost. I'm pissed.
How can be?
Right? All right. Next, this is a picture from Benjamin Lundeen. This is the Blue Mouse. The marquee says, "Support Proctor, go local." And here's what Benjamin writes: "I've been meaning to send in a photo of a marquee for a while now, but for some reason I always tend to forget. I thought I would share this one that I've been holding on to for a while. This is the Blue Mouse Theater located in Tacoma, Washington. It opened in 1923. They play second-run movies and do bi-weekly performances of the Rocky Horror Show. They've been closed since March, since movie theaters in Washington are still closed. Movie theaters did briefly open back in July and August, but closed again in November due to stricter COVID restrictions. My last visit to a theater," he writes, "was back in March to see Onward. He almost went to see Tenet," he says. "But after you all talked about Nolan's douchebagness, I passed."
We're here to help.
We're here to help. All right. This one is Brent Bader. He sent this in from Joliet, Illinois. The marquee says, "Summer lovin', had me a blast. Summer lovin', wearing my mask."
It's a really beautiful, ornate.
Yeah, that's the
building.
Rialto Square Theater in Joliet, Illinois. Then user Colla sent us a couple of pictures. We've shown a picture from the Penthouse Gentlemen's Club, which is in Toronto, I believe. We've shown a picture before. They had one that said "clothed until further notice."
Right.
So this most recent one says "better security than the U.S. Capitol."
Ooh, too soon.
Ooh, exactly. And then there's another one that they have a classic one that dates back to the election. Polls with one L, more reliable than CNN projections.
Polls, P-O-L-E-S.
Yes. All right, so we have
Dick
a picture
Burns
from
Canada.
I know, right? Larry Lachman writes in and says, "Hey, y'all, here's a marquee. If you already have had Cobble Hill Cinema's marquee, the Welcome PS58 is a reference to daycare programs for that grade school. It includes that movie house as well as a park, the Bronx Zoo, Liberty Science Center, Museum of National History, bowling, and entertaining the kids on school holidays." So this is the Cobble Hill Cinema. It says, "We love you, Brooklyn. Temporarily closed. See you soon. Stay strong. Welcome, PS58.
Nice.
All right. Luke Cignarella, I hope I'm saying that right, writes us from Australia. He says, just wanted to say you guys have been a huge inspiration. He's dived deep into film, thanks in large part to Breakfast All Day, going all the way back to What the Flick. This is
thanks.
a great small indie theater in Sydney, the Ritz. Masks have recently been made mandatory in Sydney, so it's on point. The marquee says, if Darth Vader can wear a mask for 23 years, you can wear one for your movie. Masks are now mandatory. Keep Sydney, I think it says, safe.
Yeah.
Safe.
An excellent point.
So he goes on to share a fun story. Took my friend to a screening of 2018's Upgrade here. He went out to grab popcorn and didn't realize Leigh Whannell, the director, was there and doing a quick intro before the film. That happens much less often at the Sydney Film Festival than it does at fancier US/European festivals. My friend came back with popcorn and saw, in his mind, a random dude leaving the movie as it's about to start, jokingly said, "Oh, is it that bad?" Before one of the volunteers leaned in and told him that guy was the director. LOL. Hopefully you guys are staying safe. Love your work. Patreon supporter here and very excited about your coverage of WandaVision. So are we. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luke. All right. Michael Polze, who has sent us pictures before, sent us, let's see if I can get this to go because now it's broken. Sent us this picture of, this is the Bend Theater in West Bend, Wisconsin. If you can see it close up. First rule of 2021, no one talks about 2020.
Yes. Good advice.
Let's see. Our next picture comes from Drori. He says, hello there. My name is Drori. I'm a VFX artist based in Tel Aviv, Israel.
Cool.
Though staying with his girlfriend in London right now. Love you guys. Been watching you for about 5 years. Keep doing your thing. You're amazing. Thank you. We agree. This one is from the Screen in the Green Cinema in the Angel Borough of London. They've got this, it's not on at the moment, but you can see there's some beautiful neon. I'd love to see that written up, and it says worst trilogy ever. I'm not quite sure what the worst trilogy ever it's referring to. Not really sure. One of those pictures is a Wonder Woman picture, but I don't think that that's what he's talking about.
No.
Anyway, then the other picture that he shares with us, he says this one is not exactly a marquee. It's a painting at the Rio Theater in the Dalston neighborhood added to the side of the building. It's a mixed media collage basically saying fuck 2020, which absolutely we agree.
Indeed.
All right, next picture. Sal 9000 and Chris Clarke both sent this picture in. This is Salem, Oregon. It's the Salem Cinema sign. It says, we love you, Salem. Save your cinema. Your support matters. Go to salemcinema.com, and then there's a phone number. Chris Clarke writes that this is located in Salem, Oregon, has been around for about 39 years. Back a few years ago, it was located on the ground floor of a parking garage, kind of a hole-in-the-wall theater. Eventually, they moved to their glorious new 3-screen location. Over the past year, they've been doing the same things other small art house cinemas have done, private theater rentals, selling concessions on the side, and other various Salem Cinema paraphernalia. And that's it for marquees. So that's it for this week.
Right.
Those are great. I love all the international ones. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for taking the time to send them. If we don't see them the week that you send them, it's because I don't have my shit together and I haven't checked Instagram. But thank you for doing it. We will definitely.
Right. Or I don't get them together to put them on the show. It's been my fault the last couple of weeks.
We're not going anywhere. So getting to see other parts of the world is like, that's it. That's what we've got. So thank you.
That's how we travel.
Exactly. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and do check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. I think we're just getting up to the wire of people getting to vote on what our off the menu classic for January will be. And we are recapping a couple of really fun shows right now, Bridgerton and WandaVision. So come around for that. All right. You guys take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you on Friday. Bye.